Mindy Mylrea, you're the creator of not only One Day Wellness and the Tabata Bootcamp, but also the gliding discs, which is what I am most familiar with, and I see people using all the time. You've been around in the fitness industry for a long time. My very first question for you is, what is the biggest evolution been in fitness? How is the fitness industry evolving?
What a good question. Well, I would say my gliding discs for sure. It's one of them. There have been so many amazing programs out in the fitness industry, and it's evolved. And I am a fitness fossil. I have been around before the fitness industry was a fitness industry. When I was 17 years old, I taught mother-daughter disco. And from there, I started creating programming that I thought was needed in the fitness industry, not only that I saw as an upcoming trend, but I tried to be the trendsetter in my entire career. So really, when I created the gliding discs, I wanted to create a program that was affordable, portable, storable, and of course purple. And I was noticing that there were a lot of really big pieces of equipment out there. Like the slide was the precursor to the gliding discs, and then the step, and big things. But I think when the industry really gravitated toward more functional training and body weight training, and looking at how people move throughout the day and how it will create a longevity ladder from, when you're in your 20s or 30s, you're thinking about different things. Your focus is maybe on more what your physique is looking like, or that sort of thing. And then as you get older, the focus completely changes. But I love that we are now really focused on, okay, how do we move through our lives? How do we create a connection between our movement capability and the exercises that we do in the fitness industry? So I think that my proudest really creation has been the creation of moving throughout the day. And I'm not the only one, of course, that does that, but really that's been my banner of, okay, let's really create an opportunity for people to thrive no matter what they do. Because if you look at the blue zones, people where people live measurably longer lives, they don't necessarily go to a gym. There's no 24-hour fitness in their town. They garden, they walk, they move, and they move throughout their life with grace and ease and no aches and pains, hopefully till the very end. And that's what I want the fitness industry to really resonate, is an ability for people to thrive throughout life by the exercises that they do that replicate life. That's what I really think. And that's been my purpose all along.
As the creator of the gliding disc, is there anything that you would say to personal trainers to help them use it more effectively?
When you are using the gliding discs, you are allowing certain exercise to become easier for the participant, or harder, or just different. So I've created the gliding program to represent all fitness levels. So how does a beginner look at a gliding disc? Well, they might look at it like, oh, this is a slippery plate that I'm going to stand on, and I'm going to go right into the splits if I don't do it correctly. So as a personal trainer, group exercise instructor, we've got to be very cognizant of how we use the gliding discs in a way that's going to the participant's going to feel successful in every aspect. So that could be just using one disc, having the other foot on the floor, and then using a shorter range of motion with the gliding exercises. The beauty of gliding is that it allows the push and the pull of every exercise to be effective, not just lunging out and then lunging back in. And one part of that equation is working, and the other part's just getting back to where it needs to be. But really, you're using the floor as resistance, and you're using your muscles in both the push and the pull. So that's really fantastic. Now, for a lot of beginners, they have a hard time coming back because they're using their body weight connected to the floor. Like, just for example, a front lunge. If you place your foot on the gliding disc and you lunge forward and then you lunge back, it takes a lot of hamstring to pull yourself back. But if you're a beginner, on the flip side, if we don't have the gliding discs, you're asking someone to stand on one leg, basically fall forward with your foot, and then get themselves back. Well, that's very difficult also. So you want to look at every piece and part of the exercise from a personal trainer or group exercise instructor's perspective, and you want to say, okay, where can I add something to help my student be more successful, and how can I take away something but add something in return? So I would never just take away a foot or take away an arm position. I would add something in return. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense. I'm curious, since you did bring up a good point, that the surface that the gliding disc is going over is creating friction. Is there a progression in surfaces that you would recommend people use with their clients when they're using a gliding disc? I would imagine a carpet would have more resistance than say, a regular flooring that you might find in a gym. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Sometimes a a disc for the carpet, you want to look at the two discs. One is hard, and that's for soft surfaces, and then one is soft, and that's for harder surfaces. They're both a nylon polymer composite, but one is in a webbed form, and then the other one is a plastic hard shell. It depends. Say you have a carpet that is very low, and the gliding disc slides so smoothly. Then you have a hardwood floor that maybe it has a sticky substance from maybe cleaning fluid that's going to be a little more tacky, right? So it really depends on the individual surface that you're on. So I can't say that carpet is going to be smoother than hardwood. It depends on what residue is on that surface. So it really is based on the individual. So if you're working in a studio that has hardwood floor, you're going to use the softer discs. If you're on carpet, then you're going to use the discs specifically for carpet. They are not interchangeable. You do not want to use carpet discs on hardwood or vice versa, because they are made specifically for that surface, and you want to stick with that.
That sounds like it's a good answer. If we take a step back and look at fitness, personal training, group fitness instructing from, say, the 30,000 mile view, would you give any advice to fitness pros out there and say, you could probably do this better, or don't do that?
My advice to new fitness instructors would be definitely get your information from credible sources. There's a lot of information out there now on the internet from all this, that, and the other, and I would look at credible sources, AAAI being one of them. You want to look for certifications that are tried and true. You want to look for presenters that you follow that have been in the industry for a while, that have seen everything come and go. And you want to think, not just follow the latest trend, but you want to think. You also want to stay in the lane that you feel most comfortable in. So just because you're at a gym, you're working at a gym, and the instructor that comes in the classroom before you, or the studio, they have 40 people in their class, and they're all doing some form of fitness that's really popular. Well, then you come in and say you really love boot camp, but your boot camp has maybe 20 people, not 40, but that's really where you feel most comfortable. You don't want to look at what's most popular. You want to look at where you thrive the most. So I would say definitely stay in the lane that you're most comfortable, but venture out in little pieces and parts to see if maybe what you are finding is, I really like teaching that way. Like, for example, I was early on, this was years and years and years ago, I was noticing that boxing was becoming a thing in the fitness industry, but nobody was kickboxing. And I thought, wow, we're not doing anything with our lower body. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do that because I saw a need in the fitness industry for something that wasn't being done. So I worked with a kickboxer for about a month or two, and I said, okay, I'm an authority. I'm going to teach teachers how to kickbox. Well, I didn't know anything about kickboxing really, but nobody else was doing it, so I jumped in. Well, as soon as I taught my first kickboxing class at a fitness conference, then I noticed that other people that were better than me and knew more about it than I did, they jumped in the arena. And I said, great, that's fantastic. I put that little thing around my neck and I said, venture stage left, and I left that arena because that's not my forte. But I opened the door for that genre of fitness, which I'm really proud of, and that's what I've done ever since. But now I'm really staying in the lane that I was meant to be, like HIIT training. I'm an authority on HIIT training. Any kind of new programming that is strength oriented. Definitely my gliding discs. Fluid strength is one of my programs. My Fit is one of my programs. Tabata Boot Camp is one of my programs. So I wanted to create programming that I saw that perhaps maybe other people were doing it too, but I could do it differently than them.
In terms of Tabata, since you have created the Tabata Boot Camp, do you, same question, would you give any advice to personal trainers who are doing Tabata exercises with their clients? Because when I look on social media, I see people doing what they call Tabata, and I kind of scratch my head and I say, that doesn't kind of look like the Tabata that I know. And again, would you have any advice to those personal trainers to say, you could do it better if you do this?
The advice I would give to people that teach Tabata is, what is the goal and who are you teaching? And are you wanting to teach true Tabata or teach to the timing of Tabata? So with my Tabata Bootcamp program that's now evolved into my Fit, my interval-based fitness course, it has to be defined, because just putting 20-10, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, into the arena of any exercise is not Tabata. Tabata is all out, everything you can muster, and at the end of the 20 seconds you are done, you're dust, and you're through. Then you've got 10 seconds to recover, which is not much, it's negative recovery, and then you gotta do it all over again. So at the end of 8 rounds, you are completely spent. You don't want to do anything else. You can't go and then do another Tabata. I mean, I've seen people do 8 rounds of Tabata. I mean, like 8 sets of 8. That's not Tabata. Tabata is 20 seconds on to all-out effort in the anaerobic zone where you cannot do anything else. You've got 10 seconds to try to muster up the energy again, to do it again, and that lasts for 8 rounds. So like a tricep dip is not a Tabata. I have a whole checklist for what is Tabata. What Tabata is an exercise that you do one time. It's one exercise. You don't then say, oh, I'm going to do 8 different exercises in Tabata. Because Tabata, you have to think about what you're doing. So if you take the first 3 or 4 seconds to get into it, well, you've already missed 3 or 4 seconds. And that learning at the very beginning, you have to learn the move at the beginning, and then you have to execute the move without having to think about it. It's got to be in your mind and your muscles, and so when that second number 1 happens, you're already into it, right? So it has to be an exercise that you feel right away, right? And it has to be simple. It has to be simple, stupid. Like a squat jump. A squat jump is simple, stupid, and it has to have measurable results, right? So the lowering phase is more important than the lifting phase. So if you're doing a jump, you're thinking about how you load to then explode, right? So you have to have a measurable, maybe like a yoga block or a cone or a marker or something that you touch every time. You touch every time, and then you explode from there. It's not something that gets easier. It's something that you have to replicate for the whole 20 seconds. Now, is that challenging? Absolutely. But you have to choose the right exercise for that. So, Joe, when you said, I'm looking at the internet and there's a whole bunch of exercises out there that people, do in the 20-10 timing and they call it Tabata. Well, it's not true Tabata. True Tabata was created in 1996 by a man named Izumi Tabata. He didn't even create the protocol. He was the researcher that these coaches in Japan said, hey, we've got this protocol that it's 2010. Can you do a research study on it and see if it really has merit? Well, the reason I found out about it is that I was doing some research for an infomercial that I was tasked to do, and I just saw this really obscure little research study from Japan, from this guy, and it created crazy epoch in post-exercise. Well, that crazy epoch in post-exercise is what then the fitness industry gravitated on and said, whoa, 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 we can create this afterburn epoch, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption after the fact. And so that's when they grabbed it and said, the fitness industry said, well, we can have afterburn and it's going to be so great. And well, what we found is if you do Tabata right, there is a crazy afterburn right after you finish the exercise, and then it dips down really fast, but there's still something in the 24 hours in post-exercise if you do it right. Now, is that not to say that people can't use the timing of Tabata? Absolutely they can, but they need to specify it. So in our classes of Tabata Bootcamp and now MyFit, we stress that instructors to be authentic, to be true to what the Tabata really is, the science and the research. You have to designate one part in the class, one time in the class, when it is true Tabata. True. And then after that, you can use the timing of Tabata for other things. You can add other exercises in the mix. You can do warm up with the 20-10 timing. You can do cool down with the 20-10 timing, but it's the Tabata timing. It's not Tabata itself. So there's only one time in the class of Tabata, of the MyFit program, that we actually do the true Tabata because we keep it true to the research and the science.
And for personal trainers watching us right now who may not be thinking about this, what are some contraindications to doing Tabata training that maybe personal trainers and group fitness instructors want to think about? I know a couple come to my mind, but you're the authority.
Well, contraindications is too high of an intensity for people that aren't ready for it. That's the number one. So when I was testing my program, I tested with all different fitness levels, and you definitely want people to be challenged, but there's, just say, like, I had a guy in my neighborhood. His name was Joe, and he was 90 years old, and he walked every day. And I looked out my door one day, and I said, hey, Joe, can you do something for me? For 20 seconds, could you walk just a little bit faster and then stop for 10 seconds, go slow, and then do it faster for 8 rounds? And he goes, Mindy, anything for you? And I didn't see him for 6 weeks. I thought I killed him just by asking him. And then I saw him 6 weeks later, and he's out. I see him, and I walk out my door, and I say, hey, Joe, how's it going? He's walking faster. I noticed that his gait has improved because he challenged himself to do something more. So it's in the fitness industry, it's called the SAID principle, specific adaptation of imposed demands. If you demand something of yourself, you're going to get a little better. However, if someone is going to injure themselves in the process, if someone's going to go too hard too fast, if someone's going to go too hard too fast and they get sick and can't continue, then you want to look for all of that. If you feel dizzy, if you feel like you are nauseous, that's too high, that's too much too fast. So in the MyFit program, we look at all those parameters. What is the goal of the individual? What do you want to task them to do that they can attain that result by not injuring themselves, by not feeling sick, by being able to continue the effort? That's the thing too. Am I going to do Tabata with somebody and say, okay, I want you to get to a place where you can't do anything else, you need to go home? Probably not, because I'm teaching a class, right? I want them to stay for the whole hour or half hour, but I can do it to a point where we'll have adequate recovery. That's important too. There's negative recovery during those 4 minutes of Tabata. So after the 4 minutes are over, you need to give them adequate recovery. And what is that going to look like? It could look like, well, if they're doing lower level intensity, they can then do something like maybe strength or balance or something. But if it's high level, then they're going to have to take some, the recovery has to represent what the workload was. So that's what I definitely will tell instructors and personal trainers.
It's my observation that sometimes in a fitness world we overlook the recovery period. And as I sometimes tell people in classes, if you take the recovery out of, say, Tabata or interval training, you're basically doing high intensity training completely. So you might as well just go run for 20 minutes at 8 miles an hour. So that recovery period I think is important, and I just don't think most people think about it too much.
The recovery is as important as the work.
Right.
How you recovery is as important as the workload, because you can't do quality work unless you have quality recovery. That's super important. So if you just work, it's almost like, okay, so I go in the gym and I'm going to really train my bicep, right? And I pick up a really heavy weight and I do 3 sets to where maybe I go 8 rounds and I can't do any more, right? And then I come back the next day and I say, oh, that was great. I'm going to do that again. Well, what did you do during that workload? You shredded the muscle. So the muscle now has to have time to build back stronger. Well, okay, you need a couple days, maybe 3. Same thing with Tabata, same thing with the high intensity interval training. Your body has the cardio component, the anaerobic component has broken down, so you have to have time to regenerate, rebuild, and that recovery period is so very important. That's why I will only say Tabata, true Tabata, twice a week, max. Twice a week, max.
Yeah.
But then you're doing lower level. So are you doing high intensity interval training? Are you doing variable intensity training? There's a lot of differences between those two.
If you could go back in time and take a look at your very first client, what did you learn from that experience?
Well, I've learned so much over the years, but way back when it was like, if you're not throwing up in a bucket in my class, I haven't done my job, right? If you're not calling me the next day with the most DOMs you've ever had, delayed onset muscle soreness, then I haven't done my job, right? And if people don't leave my class just looking like I've just killed them, I've learned so much since then. I mean, the opposite is true. A good walk, and also, okay, here's another thing too, is back then I had no idea what good nutrition was. Since then, my husband is now a holistic nutritionist. Our One Day to Wellness program is teaching people how to live a life that's really focusing on the food, and food is so very important. So if I would say to my client back then, I'd say, what's the most important thing? Food. Let's look at your food first, and then your exercise and your sleep and your stress and all that. But really, food is number one. Number one. You
touched on one-day wellness. Expand on that, because in the world of fitness, I shouldn't say fitness, but fitness influencers, they seem to have a secret. It's a program, and it goes on for a long time, and and you basically just boiled it down to one thing. Food is really important. Talk more about this one-day wellness program.
So back when it was 2010 maybe, 2005, well, a long, long, long time ago. My husband joined me in business, and he would take a lot of lectures, and he was fascinated by all these people talking about nutrition like it was like this science project, that you took the food out of it and you just talked about macros and micros, and you talked about how much grams of protein, and it was a disconnect with the actual food that you were eating. And there were a lot of packaged products and shakes and powders that people were selling, and I was too. I was a sponsored athlete by Power Bar first, and then by Gatorade second. I'm not anymore, but back then. And so my husband became a holistic nutritionist, really to disseminate what the science and the research was, and then he went on to start lecturing. And we started One Day to Wellness because we wanted people to understand first how to read a research study. And huge, you can't hear it, but there is thunder, man.
I hear it. Matter of fact, I could hear it coming, and I'm like, "What is?" And I'm thinking I could hear it coming, and I'm looking at your fan. I'm like, "Is that the fan I hear coming, making that noise?" No, it was the rain I'm hearing.
And the thunder. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's why I'm wearing my earbuds, because you couldn't probably hear me because it's very loud.
that's great.
It's fun. It's so fun. So we wanted to create a program that people would spend about 9 hours with us to learn the research and the science, how to look at a research study, how to know what was really the truth out there, because anybody can buy a research study. The dairy industry, the meat industry, the egg industry, anybody can buy, spend money, and it's all about money. So we started One Day to Wellness because we wanted to have a nonprofit that people could look at and say, okay, where does your money come from? Because nonprofits every nonprofit has to disclose where their money comes from. And we were advised by some really wonderful nonprofits, nutritionfacts.org, T. Colin Campbell with the China Study, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. They're all of our educational partners. And they all said, if you're going to be a nonprofit, here's what you have to do. You can't take any money from industry. And it was challenging, because when we started One Day to Wellness, we were gaining a lot of traction, and we had shake companies and supplement companies, and here's the money. It's like, oh, here's the money. Sorry, I can't take it. Our One Day to Wellness program is not only the food, it is the whole wellness component. So we followed Dan Buettner with the National Geographic. He created the blue zones, or not created, but they coined the word the blue zones, where pockets around the world of people living measurably longer lives. So we looked at the tenets and really created our program based on those tenets. Food is number one, of course, but it's stress reduction, it's exercise, it's social engagement, it's having some sort of a spiritual component, whatever it is, just having that. And this is where people live measurably longer lives following these tenets. And they don't even know they're doing it. They're just living their lives. The number one tenet, you ready? The number one thing that everybody has in common in all these blue zones? Beans. They all eat some form of legume or beans. In Okinawa, Japan, it is soybeans. In Sardinia, Italy, it could be lima beans or pinot beans or whatever. So beans. Eat more beans. But that's the One Day to Wellness. So One Day to Wellness, Bruce and I we sold our home. We moved into a 32-foot RV, and we traveled all over North America in this RV. We wrapped it with our logo. It was pretty fun. So much fun.
Wow.
And then the pandemic hit, and then things changed. So
It sure did.
yeah.
Yeah.
We still have our program online, and we are now revamping the program because 9 hours is way too long for one continuous program. So we're putting it into chunks, and so people can have our One Day to Wellness program in chunks.
It's interesting. Your One Day Wellness program sounds somewhat, especially when you mention the spiritual component, sounds a lot like.
Oh, well, Dean Ornish. Oh, yes. Dean Ornish. Yeah. He showed early stage prostate cancer, regression in prostate cancer with those tenets. Yeah, nutrition was number one.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a
Yeah,
good guy.
and heart disease too. Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we missed the spiritual part. At least here in the United States, we don't think too much about it. Maybe changing these days. I'm not quite sure, but
Well, it's some, and it can be anything. It could be Christ, it could
yeah,
be Buddha, it could be just
right,
your own spirituality of a force that you don't even know. Whatever it is, it's something that's greater than ourselves.
sure.
And I think that's where everyone had that in common. Yeah.
So I've looked at some of your videos and I noticed you've talked about sometimes the differences between training the body and coaching the person. What's that mean to you, and how can new trainers put that into practice?
Every trainer, whether it is a group exercise instructor or a personal trainer, has to look at the individual in front of them and what they need, right? Like I have a really hard time, a pet peeve of when instructors yell out to the group, "Oh, show me this," or "Give me this," right? That's a cue that people, or say yes or yes. It's like, what are you saying? I mean, I want whoever's in front of me to provide me their feedback, how I can help them, not what I need in return, but what can I provide for them to make them the best that they can be in that moment. In that moment. So it's so individual. It's so whether I'm working with a one-on-one elderly client, I have to look at what do they want out of their life, and how can I encourage them to go one step further where they perhaps don't think they can anymore. Or that younger person that is in some kind of sport that they need to get better for that sport. How am I going to coach them so they will achieve greatness? It's all individually. So you really have to train the person that's in front of you. And if you've got 40 people in front of you, how do I find that individual moment, that gem with each one of them, so each one of them leaves feeling like they were the rock star, like I had every intention for them individually.
I think that's a really good point. If I can circle back to nutrition for a moment, you made a really interesting point. You talked about everybody should be eating beans, because if you look at the longest living people in the world, they're all eating some sort of legume, which is good news for me with my vegetarian chili. I put a lot of beans in my vegetarian chili. For fitness professionals out there, they put a lot of emphasis on protein. And if I could ask you, I have my own thoughts on this, but if I could ask you, what's one aspect of nutrition that personal trainers may not be thinking about? I think you also hit the nail on the head a minute ago when you talked about how it's you know a little it's the micronutrients, it's the protein, it's the fat, it's the carbs. And true story for me, many years ago, I found myself at a convention in Las Vegas, and all these PhDs were on the stage and are talking about what you already just brought to light. You got to have this many grams of carbs, and this many grams of fat, and grams of protein, etc. And I'm writing this down, not thinking too much of it. And it was funny during the question and answer segment of that course I was taking. A dietitian walks up to the microphone and she says, "Isn't that milk?" And all these PhDs gave such a sheepish answer, yes. You nailed it. A lot of people are missing that big picture. We're talking about protein and little bits of fat and carbs and astaxanthin and things like that. I think we miss the big picture. But now, after I've gone off on my own tirade, what do you think that personal trainers, fitness professionals may be missing in terms of nutrition that maybe they should be thinking about?
Well, nature got it right. Nature knows what the best foods that we should be eating. So everything closest to the source of where it came from. So it's not how much protein you get, it's the quality of the protein. It's also, we are a protein obsessed society because follow the money. It's always about follow the money. And the food industry said, oh, people are obsessed with protein. We better put more protein in Cheerios and in this and that. And the truth is, the more protein, the more your kidneys have to get rid of that protein. Your body doesn't store protein. So your kidneys have a huge load when you eat too much protein. What's going to build muscle? Weightlifting. Eating more protein is not going to build muscle. Now, you need enough protein, but you need it from the correct sources. So if you're getting it from the animal kingdom, which is very, very highly acidic, you've got to drink a lot more water. Your kidneys have to do a lot more work. And if you go right to the source where the animal got their protein from, it's plants. Where do you get your protein? From plants. Plants, legumes, almost every plant food has some kind of protein in it. Look at arugula. Arugula has a lot of protein. Spinach. That's why Popeye went like this. He's like, I eat my spinach. Yes, because that has a lot of protein. And your body does not have to digest it in the same way. But too much is too much. And we in this country now, if you look at all the research that's out there now, it's like we're getting a little too much protein. And so your kidneys are about to fail. That's why Arnold Schwarzenegger now is a whole food plant-based eater. I'm not saying he doesn't ever eat any meat or fish or whatever. I don't know what he does, but he has gone plant-based. So you have to look at that. So really, don't look at the money. Don't follow the money. Follow the science. And unfortunately, the doctors, most doctors, don't have an education in nutrition. They just don't. And so Bruce and I, for the last, I think, 5 or 6 years, we have been at a conference called the Lifestyle Medicine Conference, and then there's also the Plant Nutrition Project. That's another conference. And these are doctors, clinicians, nutritionists that are going to these conferences to learn the science. So they're going out of their way so that they can have a more holistic approach and help their clients. Help their patients thrive by not getting these diseases. And here's the other thing too, is most of the time when we go to the doctor, we are wanting a pill or a potion or what. We want something, right? Well, what about if we just take things away instead of putting more on, right? Like animals. When animals get sick, what do? They rest. They don't say, oh, I need to have this supplement or I need more of this. They say, no, let's just take it all away and let's see what happens, right? And that's really the approach that a lot of these doctors are now taking, which is really good. First of all, let's prevent it, not let's get it in the first place. But if you do get it, let's see how we can take things away to maybe, dampen down the fire. It's like putting more fuel on the fire when we just add more stuff to the mix. But adding more protein doesn't, hey, you know what? Look at countries around the world, people around the world that are thriving, and they're not adding more protein. They're taking it away. And I'm not saying take away protein. I'm just saying get it from the right sources and don't follow the trend of I need more protein.
You mentioned Popeye a second ago, and that got me thinking. Popeye is probably the only cartoon character that I've ever seen in my lifetime that put an emphasis on food to get stronger. And when I go through the supermarket, I get a little angry because here's my pet peeve. Why don't I see Batman on a package of broccoli? Why don't I see Spider-Man on spinach? Do you have any insights, and maybe you don't, why isn't Big Broccoli going after superheroes? I think that would increase fruit and vegetable consumption in the United States, and I don't see that happening. What do you think?
I would love to see Batman on a broccoli, but they don't have the money. They do, it's follow the money.
Right.
Big beef, they have a lot of money. The dairy industry has a huge coffer, but big broccoli doesn't have any money. So hopefully education will help in that regard. But if you would need a lot of money to put Batman, that brand, on broccoli, and then you're probably, Batman then can't go on beef, right? It was so funny. We were at a conference in Dallas, and Bruce was lecturing on the evidence of why meat is not such a great idea to put in your diet. Well, the Beef Council was there in the back row with their recorder, and there's something in Texas called the ag-gag law, that you cannot talk disparagingly about the beef industry because they have so much money. There was a doctor actually in Texas that had us come speak to all of his clients because he couldn't do it himself. We could, because we're from California, we're those crazy Californians. But the next year, we were not invited to that conference. Bruce wasn't. And Bruce asked them, why weren't you in, why did, I have standing room only. And they said, well, because we're getting a lot of money from the beef industry. And they've specifically asked that you not come, that you not present. We'll give money to the convention if Bruce Nolley does not speak.
Wow.
Money, follow the money.
Yeah, and I would take this opportunity to challenge Disney, who owns an awful lot of these superhero cartoon characters, and DC. Why don't you work something out with big broccoli and big spinach, and do the right thing? I'm taking this opportunity to vent, obviously, because I remember during the pandemic, the only area of the supermarket that really wasn't bare to the bone was the fruit and vegetable aisles. And that shocked me during the pandemic. I mean, you couldn't get frozen TV dinners because they were gone, but but frozen spinach and broccoli, that was all there. And I remember distinctly, I hear this child, little kid, he's screaming in the supermarket. And I'm like, what the heck's going on with this kid? And I turn the corner and his mom is trying to put some kind of spinach or something in the cart. He's swatting it out of her hand. And I said to myself, this kid's never been talked into vegetables. Never. And it stuck with me. And I was like, wow, that's why we got to do the right thing and put Batman on broccoli. That kid would eat broccoli if Batman and spinach and Superman were on those packages. So
in our One Day to Wellness program, we advocate two things a lot of things for bringing your family on board. But one is you're going to make pizza. And we say, all right, kids, you go into the fruit and vegetable aisle, and you have to get 5 different fruits and vegetables that are different colors. And we're going to put those all on the pizza. And then you cook together, and they're so proud of their pizza and that they went to the store and they bought all the different colors, and that really works. The other thing that works is to make stone soup. And I teach this in schools. And stone soup is a book.
I know.
Do you know the book? Yeah.
Yes.
And this pauper goes into this town, and he says, I'm going to make the whole town stone soup because I'm magic. And does anybody have a stone? Or no, he actually brings the stone in. And he says, this is a magic stone. And he puts it in a pot. And he says, okay, now everyone go and get a vegetable from your garden or whatever it happens to be. Then everybody brings all that stuff. Then he makes this amazing soup. And they all eat the soup. And then he takes the stone and then he takes it to the next town. Well, it's not a stone. It's all of the vegetables that everybody brought. And so that's what kids do in school. They all bring a different vegetable, and that goes into the stone soup. And then they read the book, and it's really pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned pizza. I love pizza. I've had people look at me funny when I go to a pizza place and I ask for broccoli on my pizza.
Oh, yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, I know. And spinach, they look at me, oh, and I got to put pineapple on it too, but it's mostly the broccoli. They look at me like I'm from outer space.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Well, we brought to Costa Rica. We live in Costa Rica, and we actually brought a pizza maker. I bought a Ninja Creamy. Oh my gosh, because it's very hot here, so you really can't. The closest store is about 20 minutes away, so I love ice cream, but I make ice cream out of tofu and cacao powder and peanut butter, And what else do I use? A little vanilla. Oh, and dates. Oh my gosh. And then you freeze it for 24 hours, and then you put it in the Ninja Creamy. Oh, it makes the most delicious. But it's tofu, which is everybody should be eating tofu, edamame, soy milk. Everyone should be. If you are afraid because you heard some weird thing that soy will give boys boobs and girls breast cancer, that is not true. But we eat that every day. Every day.
Very cool. Coming back to the fitness industry for a moment. So what, in your opinion, is the trait or traits of a fitness professional that'll, say, be in the industry for a long time, maybe decades, versus those who may burn out in a couple of years out of the industry?
I think to stay the test of time in the fitness industry, you have to be malleable and look at what's there, create and be creative. Learn and then create programming that is right for your clientele. Be willing to step outside your box. I mean, I said before, stay in your lane, but venture out. But step outside your box and try new things, for sure. The fitness industry is evolving constantly, but it's also cyclical. So you'll see things come and go and come back again. But I think the number one thing to stay relevant in the industry is to really look at who you are there for. What are you passionate about? Like right now, I'm really passionate about the active ager because I'm an active ager, and I've evolved to looking at more gentle exercises, looking at creating opportunities for agers to live well, not just live, but live and thrive with how their bodies move, and that's important. But to stay relevant in what you are doing, it's staying fresh, new, evolve. I know those are all buzzwords, but I think I've done that. You know, being creative. Just keep your brain going. What hasn't been done? And looking at the industry now, and things have completely changed. Like from a presenter perspective, I mean, I used to make tons of money all over the world. I was sought after, and I just got an email from Moscow. They want me to come back. I'm like, what? It's been before pre-pandemic that they asked me, and I was making just buckets of money, and they're not paying anymore. I mean, fitness industry now has changed so much, but we can't look back at what was. We have to look at, okay, what is now, and what's my focus now, and how can I be relevant now? Not what I did then, and why can't it be that way anymore? It's not going to be that way anymore. It isn't. It's evolved, it's changed. Like there are influencers on TikTok and YouTube and they've got the eyeballs of the younger people. Hey, that's good. That's okay. Do what you do best and keep evolving.
Yeah.
I think that's my message.
You mentioned influencers, which takes me right into my very next question. So you must be psychic. So how, in your opinion, can fitness professionals build a following on social media without essentially selling the marketing things that don't align with their values? When
the fitness industry first came into fruition, there was no internet, right? I mean, there was an internet, but there wasn't what we have now. And now we have a tremendous opportunity to get eyes on what we do, right? But we do it in the right strategic way. You can't just give everything away, because then there has to be some back end. So all along, I've always said, give something away. Give something away that people really find valuable, and they are intrigued and they want more, right? So maybe, and people's attention spans are like this we're gnats. We have no attention span whatsoever. So giving three best foods to eat for gut health, or 5 best exercises for core strength, or whatever it happens to be, then put those out there on a routine basis. So like, and people are doing this. I'm not the first one that's doing this, but people, you see it all the time. So like Tip Tuesday, Workout Wednesday, whatever it happens to be, and then people know that you're always going to be delivering that content, and then they want more content. So for example, I work for a company that is an active aging company, and I shoot videos outside. It's called Take It Outside. And then people see that content, and then they go to their doctor and say, hey, I really like this content. I was told by watching this video, I could actually ask my insurance company to pay for the back end of of these exercise videos. So then the insurance company pays for that. So but that's a company. So for your own self, I would say, if this is something that you want to do, you have to commit to it. You have to say, okay, I can commit to putting on social media 3 times a week, consistently, and I'm known for this content. That's what I did with Tabata early on. Early on, Tabata, when it wasn't even a thing, I put on a Tabata type workout using the timing of Tabata. I think it was twice a week. And I was then known as the Tabata resource. I was known as like the Tabata expert. People thought I created Tabata. And so then I created Tabata Bootcamp based on what I had done on the front end. So then the back end, then I could make money. So right now I have a partner, and we have the movementors.com, so where all of our programming lands, all of my fitness videos land. And then every month I give her new content, and then what she'll do is take a little piece of that, put it on social media, and then hopefully from that, then we get people then that buy our continuity program, which is $7.99 a month, and then that is where we generate income on the back end.
It's a great idea. So niche down, find your area or areas of expertise, post on a regular basis, preferably at the same time of the day. Like, get people thinking it's almost like a TV show. You're going to show up for your favorite TV show, and be consistent, and use numbered lists, because people do like numbered lists, top 3 exercises for a flat tummy, etc. I'm guilty of watching numbered lists myself. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are doing it, but you don't say that. You don't say, oh, there are already people doing it. It's too, No.
Yeah.
Say, this will work, and I'm going to be consistent, and if you're good, and if you got good content, you're not just fluffy, you'll get a good following.
Yeah.
And have something that's different. Like maybe do it outside where the background is always ever changing, right? You're at a waterfall, or you're at the beach, or you're wherever. I mean, whatever your niche is, right? Maybe you do it and you have a dog, and the dog always is in the picture with you. So you're always known for, there's that exercise person that always has their golden doodle with them, or whatever it happens to be. But do something that's different. Like when I was teaching fitness, I was teaching PE in elementary school, and this was this is a long time ago, when boxer shorts, it was okay to wear boxer shorts on the outside, and there were all different kinds. Like there was Elmo and the Power Rangers, and just all kinds. I owned probably 50 pair of boxer shorts, and every day that I came to teach the kids, the whole thing was, what is Mrs. Mylrea going to wear today? What is she wearing? So that was sort of my shtick. It was like Ms. Frizzle with the Magic School Bus. It's like, what is it going to be that really sets you apart? And it could be something so very simple, but it sets you apart. You're known for that, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah. I would agree. It's a great thing. Be known for something. You don't need to be known for everything. Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And piggybacking on that thought, so personal trainers, they got to be online and they've got clients and they give their all to clients, whether it's in person or virtual or social media. What can they do to protect their own mental wellness? Because I have heard of people who literally had to check themselves into a retreat. Let's be nice and call it a retreat for to regain their own mental stability. And it's a challenge these days, to always be there for somebody. How do you protect your own mental wellness?
When, as a personal trainer, you're also a psychologist. You're, I mean, you're a hand holder. I mean, you have people that can drain your resources for sure. So you need to know the signs of when you are drained yourself, and you need to find whatever it will be. Everyone is so different. It could be that I need to take time for myself to meditate, or to watch TV, or to read, or to go learn myself. And I mean, that's what I do. I go and I refuel my tank, but by learning more information. And luckily, I have never had an issue like that, because I think I've always known boundaries, and that I didn't I compartmentalize really well. Like, I can put something on a shelf and then do something else. And I think that personal trainers need to learn how to do that, how to compartmentalize. And like, I did a lecture one time about the myth of multitasking, how multitasking is such a myth, and men are so good at just single tasking, compartmentalizing. And I said, like, men are so good at having sex. Men they just get in there and they just have an orgasm and they're done. Women are multitasking, and we're thinking about that, but then we're thinking about dinner, and then we're thinking about the kids, and then we're thinking about, so it takes us 15 times as long. That's not fair. So we need to learn how to compartmentalize. And that's very, very important. So I think that personal trainers, to compartmentalize, to be able to just put something on a shelf. And I learned that from my mom. My mom worked at Children's Hospital at Stanford with cancer patients, with cancer kids. And how do you not take that home with these kids that are dying? So she learned how to do her very best to compartmentalize. And then when she came home, she was all that in a bag of chips for us. And I don't know how she did it, but she did it.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Yeah, one trainer said to me, even when I work out in the gym, people are asking me questions, and I said, go work out in another gym where nobody knows.
Go work out at another gym, or
Yeah,
have your gym at your home. I mean, that's what we do. We have
yeah,
we have all of our fitness equipment here, and we're slowly bringing it from the United States too, because
yeah,
Costa Rica
yeah.
is expensive.
Right. Final question. What do you think, if you could look in your crystal ball, is the next big thing coming down the pike in the fitness industry? And how can fitness professionals prepare for this next big change?
Oh, it's already here. The next big change in the fitness industry is wellness. It's already huge, and that's what everyone needs to look into. Um, how to prioritize for yourself, and then also for your clients, a multifaceted wellness. It's not only fitness, and it's not only food, it's stress reduction, it's sleep, it's all those components. So when I go in and teach my active aging class, I have lots of different components that I will unwrap as the class progresses. I always come in with information. Maybe it's an article, maybe it's something about food, maybe it's something about sleep or whatever it is, but I will always read them some article. Now, it's not from me, it's not personal opinion, it's something that came out in the news, or it's a scientific research study or whatever. That's what I start them with. Then I have them all interact together. So that's now the community aspect, because that's very important. Social engagement, it's so very important. So I have them interact with each other, maybe saying, okay, tell the person next to you, what is your superpower? Or what are you most proud of that you've done in the last couple of days? Something like that. Then we get into the fitness component. Then I always have a homework assignment for them. It could be fitness related, it could be a food that I want them to try, or whatever it is. But in that hour, I have touched upon the best that I can all that is wellness. And you're looking at gyms now. Gyms are now changing up maybe a room or two to be a wellness area, or a meditation space, or whatever it happens to be. And then they maybe have a nutritionist on board. We're seeing that. We're seeing this connection, and not just, oh, you're coming in for your fitness. Okay, you're going to go there for something else and there for something else. No, the fitness industry, especially gyms, are bringing all of this together so that there's more of a connection, and that student or that client is coming to you for everything, or coming to your team for everything, because you can't be everything, but maybe you have other people that can offer that under your umbrella.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. And the older I get, the more I realize what I didn't know when I was younger, and it's just not fitness. We are an ecosystem. It's fitness, it's wellness, it's mental wellness, physical wellness, and you gotta treat the whole person. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe you can't do it. So that's where burnout would come in. You're not capable of doing all of it, but you're capable of having other people that you can refer that person to that you think are credible and that are in your sphere and under your umbrella. And then from a financial standpoint, then everyone can benefit from those referrals as well.
Mindy Mylrea, this is a great conversation. How can people find out more about you and get in contact with you?
The best thing is to go to the Move Mentors, MoveMentors.com. That is where everything will be living. Now, everything lives there except for One Day to Wellness. That still is onedaytowellness.org. But we're phasing everything over to the Move Mentors. Or you can just, Google me, Facebook me. I mean, you can reach out to me in those spaces too.
Cool beans.
And come to Costa Rica for our retreats, and they're week-long retreats, and it's all inclusive. So all food, you learn about nutrition, and you do workouts with me.
Outstanding. I'll link to all that in the video, but this has been a great conversation. I really, really do appreciate your time and your insights.
Oh, thank you, Joe. And I thank you for all your very insightful questions.